come play our 8 games that you play down here and the places that you play down here. You guys that have covered the SEC for a while, you can have teams that aren't even having a really good year for them, but you got to go play at their place down here, and it's just different. So scheduling here in this conference and what you do week to week, and then the NFL draft shows that too. Those are the players you're playing against, and it's so balanced throughout the conference that every week you got to really show up. It's really like the NFL. And I don't feel like that is the case in these other conferences, or a really good conference similar to us that's top heavy but doesn't have the middle and bottom the way that we do.
Okay, we'll go down the center aisle, right on the...
Hey Coach, Emily Grace McWhorter from The Next Round. At this point of the year, what is your personal focal point that you are emphasizing the most, along with the expectations for your players and staff members?
I just think that we basically restart each of these last few years, because the turnover is so much in college football, which I wish it wasn't that way, and it shouldn't be. You should be able to build within your program and have a lot of returning players, but it's just the way the system is now. Hopefully that gets fixed, because I don't think that's really good for anybody. It's not good for these kids to go to all these different switch schools every year. So it just makes us restart and not expect that they know anything, because they're coming from all these different places.
Coach, we'll go over to our right-hand side.
Good afternoon, Coach. My name is Dylan, and I write for the Daily Mississippian. You mentioned that Ole Miss had had 3 10-win seasons in the last 4 years. So what core elements of your culture have driven to that level of consistency, would you say?
Well, I think we've had really good players over that time, really good schematical coaches that have helped that. So I think that those usually are the key factors there of playing really well. This last season, we led the SEC in scoring offense and defense. That's really unique to do, and I think that, to me, shows how good that team was. We played 13 games. We won 10 of them double digits. Not one of those games was really close. And then we went 0-3 in one-score games. So that does, to me, show how far we've come as a program to be able to have games like the Georgia game or going to South Carolina and have a game like that.
Coach, we'll go back over to my side, towards the back on the far aisle.
Hey, Lane. Connor O'Gara, Saturday Down South. When did you get over getting left out of the playoff?
That wasn't that difficult. I mean, it is. I tend to do better with things when they're done. You can't do anything to change them, So it was what it was. I just think, not to go back over that too much, but just in general, and there's been a lot of talk about that since. I just think the system, and it's not because of us, I just think the system doesn't take into the scheduling properly. And then since then, as you look at these other sports, basketball, baseball, you see teams, that go on to win that weren't in the top because they played a really hard schedule, and you lose some games. Just like the basket goes in or out at the end, doesn't mean you're dramatically different than that team. Just like, you lose a game in overtime, doesn't mean on the road, so, or the NFL. You see these times all the time. You go to the Super Bowl, and here's the 5 seed in the Super Bowl. So I just think that it doesn't account to that. And being a coach and understanding what teams take to go into certain places to play and have to get up every week versus other people's schedule, it's very different.
Coach, we'll go over to our right-hand side, about midway back. It's right behind you, sir. There you go.
Thank you, Coach. Hunter Dawkins with Super Talk Mississippi. Last year, your ground game wasn't usually what you have done with your offensive system. Is there going to be any improvement on the way that you guys develop the system, or just talk to me and give me your take on what is going to happen, at least from the running back room?
Yeah, our ground game was definitely disappointing. That has been something we've done really well over our time for a long period of time, is run the football. And You know, we weren't able to do that at times that were critical in these losses. You know, all of these 3 losses, we're ahead. You know, 2 of them were basically ahead the entire game. You know, and just need to kind of in 4-minute, you know, close games out, and that's where we've been really good at that. I think that was year before, maybe we were 4-0 in 1-score games, I think, and then we go 0-3. So, you know, we've signed some different linemen. Running back room is a lot different, and so hopefully we'll be better.
Coach, we'll go over here on our left-hand side, about a quarter way back.
Coach, right here, David Rumsey with Front Office Sports. You mentioned the current cap in college sports, and you've spoken about a salary cap before. Now that revenue sharing is underway, do you think college football should and can have a hard salary cap?
Well, I think that's what's being attempted. Doesn't seem like that's working very well. So, yeah, I mean, I'm stating the obvious. That was the intention of what was going on, because there was so much complaints when NIL started and everything about, okay, everybody's got different advantages and different payrolls, and we saw those a couple years ago, and I was up here at one of these joking about there should be a luxury tax, you know, because of A&M spending or whatever it was, you know, so then that was supposed to be being fixed, and now it's not. So again, we've tried to follow these guidelines because that's what we were told we needed to do. But, and I'm not calling anybody out. I'm not even saying they're wrong for doing it. You know, if the system isn't solid enough to prevent that, then we really don't have a system. And then so you're not operating in a salary cap. So.
Coach, we'll stay on the same side over on the far aisle, right there in the middle.
Lynn, Peter Rodriguez from AO.com. It seemed like in the past week you've had a few tweets tagging or directing at Hugh Freeze. Was curious what the message or thought behind some of those posts were.
Well, someone said that coming in here to me. I like Coach Freeze. So I think they think that that was something to do with, like, I was fishing, it was golfing. That really wasn't that. I have a thing with him going back a few years ago when he, like, posted a picture, like, in response to me of, like, some 2-pound bass or something like that. So I've kind of always posted bigger fish pictures back towards him. So that had nothing to do with his golf game, which sounds like he's doing amazing at that. So that's great for him.
All right, we'll go the front row right here to your right, Coach.
Lane,
And I was fishing yesterday as a dead period, by the way. Just making sure that we're clear on that. If you want to say fishing is like golfing is dead period.
don't want to interrupt the fishing conversation, but Caleb Saylor, Super Talk Mississippi here. Lane, over the past 3 years, people got to know a lot about Jackson Dart, both on and off the field. Well, you got Austin Simmons poised for year 1 as a starting quarterback. Ahead of this fall, what do you think people should know about Austin, both on and off the field?
Yeah, they're very different. I mean, if you look at them, how they throw right hand, left hand, that would basically be about everything about them. You know, is everything's that different. So, and that's okay. And Austin's got to make sure he doesn't have to try to beat Jackson. And Jackson wasn't Jackson, the third year Jackson, until he was the third year. So he'll be fine. He's got elite talent, does a really good job. He's maturing. Obviously did a great job when he came in the Georgia game. And so we're excited about it.
Coach, we'll go right here in front of us to the left.
Hey, Coach. John with On Texas Football. Early this season, you played Tulane, one of the tougher group of 5 teams out there. What do you remember from your last matchup with them? A close game in 2023. And do you think scheduling these tougher out-of-conference games is more beneficial or detrimental to your team with an already difficult SEC schedule?
I think Tulane has great players. They play really hard, just like a lot of Louisiana kids, and their new staff's done a really good job. We had a hard game down there with the previous staff, so I think that it'll be a really big challenge for us.
Coach, we'll go over here to our right on the near aisle. Kirk.
Kirk Bowles from Houston Chronicle. I think 6 or more SEC teams are breaking in new quarterbacks. Do you think there's a chance it can kind of level the field a little bit? make it more competitive in the league?
Well, I think it was really level last year. So I think that in general, my guess would be you're going to be leveled out for a while, like the way that, whatever you want to call it, this supposed cap works in some ways, and some people following it, and so now some teams go out and they kind of go way above the cap on it, way above what you would think they would do if they were monitoring their cap on a specific player. So I think because of that, now you're seeing more one-offs where the player, five-star player that traditionally would go to these couple schools now goes to this other school. Well, it's kind of like something's up, right? They're getting more money, obviously. So I think it's going to level out a little bit if this is the direction that it's going, to where you're going to see not all the players be stacked up at the top at a couple schools.
Coach, we're going to go all the way to the back near the TV set in the back of the room.
Hey Coach, this is Reagan Scarda of Inside Arkansas. To bounce off the couple questions before, coming off an historic season, not only for the Rebels, but for quarterback Jackson Dart, do you feel as if there's an extreme amount of pressure on Austin Simmons to fill those shoes?
I think there is. We try to work with him on that, and that he has to be himself and, not worry about that. But I think with that, whenever you follow somebody that's had a lot of success, most wins in the history of the school, most yards, most touchdowns, basically everything, that puts a lot of pressure on you. But we have to help him with that. We got to coach and play really well around him. Is the biggest part of helping him with that.
Okay, we'll go straight down the center aisle, just to the right.
Carlo Brown, WCBI TV, Columbus. Lane, you lost a lot of players, both offense and defensive starters, especially, multiple wide receivers, quarterback as well. As a coach, how do you adjust when you've lost, and be saying it lightly, just a few players?
Yeah, we lost a lot of really good players. Most players drafted in the history of the school. So we've replaced them with a lot of new players, and that's kind of the world we got to live in now, with the portal and how it works, and how many kids go to a place for a year and then leave. So there's not as many kids being developed to take on those roles at places. So I think that problem's probably happened a lot around the country and is going to continue to happen. So it just is what it is.
We have time for a couple more. We'll go over here on the front row to our left.
Coach Dave Schumate from SEC Unfiltered. You being an offensive guy, but I know you guys have lost some guys in the back end in that secondary. In today's college football environment, what would you consider numbers-wise a proper depth on the back end? And you bring up the salary cap. In your opinion, what would be a proper punishment for people who go over the cap?
First thing about the secondary, yeah, we got a lot of new players back there, and Pete Golding does a great job with that. We had the same problem 2 years ago. We'll just find the best ways to put them in the best positions to make plays. I don't have the answer for the punishment on the cap, because it's not even, I can't even say that, because it's like, here's the cap, but then here's these other contracts, and are those going to get passed, and what if you go over on those and that system with Deloitte? And so I don't think we even know. And is it even going to happen? You got these states passing laws where looks like you can't even enforce it. So what are you going to have? Like the NFL, like, hey, these divisions, you have a cap, but then NFC Central, you don't have a cap, or teams in Florida, you don't have a cap, so I don't know that.
Coach, we'll take one final question over here to our left, second row.
Hey, Coach. Steve Moulton, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Good to see you. Wanted to ask about your time in Oxford, this being year 6. Where do you think you've grown the most in Oxford?
Yeah, it's been an awesome time. Not to kind of dig too much into it, but even this weekend with family and stuff, and just losing our parents, and you just can't. You got no idea what's going to happen. I was talking to our kids about that, and I was like, okay. For instance, I was at Alabama. We played at Ole Miss, and one summer I went and visited my brother out in this neighborhood in Oxford, and I was saying to his wife, well, whatever that was, 10 years ago or something like that, what if I was to tell you that you're going to go to all these jobs, you know, and then all of a sudden I'm going to be the head coach of Ole Miss, and then you're going to be here, and your kids are going to be here, and then Layla Knox and Landry are going to be here, and like, there's no way. But then our parents are going to be gone. So it's just been an amazing experience, and I just have so much appreciation. I'm not saying this coming to head coach. I don't give you coach speak. The people of Oxford, and then when you lose your parents and you see how they are and how they help take care of them towards the end, or how much they really cared about them, it opened my eyes to a totally different way. It's basically, I went to Oxford, had this view. Then I got kids there, so then I had a different view as a parent there, and how awesome a community is to raise your kids in and to have them go to college and high school around these families and really take care of everybody. Then you see your parents at the end and lose your parents, one kind of expected, one unexpected, and to see how the community is around that, I owe so much to Oxford and the people there. It's just been awesome.
Coach Kiffin, thank you for your time this afternoon.
All right, guys, thank you. Have a good week.
Really powerful stuff from Ole Miss.